Hi, everybody. Happy Sunday. Happy autumn equinox. Um, and I am Erica Robinson. I am in the company of cards. It's the name of this channel, where I use Lenormand to look at the issues of the day. I'm the author of The Language of Lenormand, as well as the Erica's Lenormand of Hope, which is the deck that I'll be reading from for you today. And would love it if you would like, share, and subscribe. So I have, let's see, one, two, three, four questions today that I think we might find interesting, I hope. And as always, if you can think of other questions that you'd like me to look at during the course of the week, please just put them in the chat and I will see whether I think my cards can answer them or not. Okay. The first one is a big one. So, today is the fall equinox, and it sort of marks another kind of turning of the wheel as we change seasons. And in a few days, we will be changing months as well. Will be in the last full month stretch of this election season. And what I thought I would like to do is to look at 45 in the month of October. And I thought that what I would do is I would take it month by month. And so what I'm not going to do is put, 5 cards for week 1, 5 for week 2, 5 for week 3, 5 for week 4. I mean, I will do that, but each time I'm going to put the preceding week's cards back in the deck so that they can play as well. We're talking about a 36 card deck, right? And I don't want to limit its options. So I'll be gathering the cards up and reshuffling them after each week. I feel as though this will be quite a tumultuous week for him. Any of you who are at all sensitive to energy, which kind of most of us are feeling a sort of thickening of the energy, a thickening and an even greater unsettling of the energy. And I think as we move into October, we'll see why. So let's look at that. So the cards are shuffled. Universe knows my intention. We are looking at 45, and we're going to start by looking at his first week in October and seeing what that's going to be like. Just 5 cards. And I'm not even going to pull a significator because we know we're talking about him. So I'm just cutting the deck into 3 with my left hand. That's just, habit. And then I'm going to pull 5 cards. You see that I kind of shuffle each time I pull a card. And what will be really interesting, as always, will be specifically what is that central card, because that'll tell us a lot. So this is week 1 of 45's October. We have the fox, we have the moon, we have the heart, we have the dog, and we have the bear. Okay, so this is week 1. What might that mean? With the first card being the fox, I don't love that. Sometimes I love the fox card, not this time. I think that there's danger all around him from sources that he probably would least expect, because a fox, of course, is tricky. Now, the moon is our second card, and that's the card for reputation. I think people around him are not who he thinks they are or who they say they are to him. In the center is the heart. I mean, I've said this before. I'm not the first one to say this either, or the only one to say this. I think that 45 has cardiac issues. Now, the last 2 cards are animals, dog and bear. So we've got fox, dog, and bear as the 3 animal cards that show up. So let's think about that a little bit. Again, I think this is saying that the people who he is surrounded by He thinks he knows who they are. He thinks that they're faithful. He thinks that they mean him well. I don't know that they do. We haven't heard much about Laura Loomer this week, but she's still around. There are people in his midst who would rather she not be around. They may arrange for her not to be around, but bottom line, there are people who don't mean him well, 45, and they are closer to him than he realizes. The heart, again, is for the cardiac issue. The dog, this is a card for a friend. People want to appear to give the impression that they're his friend. They want to appear that way, but I don't think they are. Fox mirrors bear. I think that a lot of times this is my card for 45, but not always. And I think that there are moves afoot by these people to strong arm him in some way. Because he's like a runaway train, he's like a rabid dog, he's out of control. So I think there's going to be an effort to strong arm him in this first week of October. Okay. So the way that I shuffle the cards back in the deck is like this. Just put them back in. And shuffle a little more. And now let's look at week 2 for 45. What is the second week in October going to look like for 45? I wanted all the cards in play. Again, I'm not going to use a significator. Okay. Cutting the deck into 3 with my left hand. And again, let's see what comes up for the second week in October for 45. So you saw me shuffle. If the same cards, some of the same cards pop up, there'll be a different orientation or a different meaning. So this is the second week. Yeah. We have the coffin, we have the mountain, we have the child, we have the scythe, and we have the anchor. So it looks like as the month progresses, things get more intense and more serious. Remember that the first week seemed to emphasize the fact that he's got people around him who are only pretending to be on his side or have his best interests at heart, but they don't. But this is something different. Coffin. This is illness. This is the card for illness and for isolation. 45 has got to be feeling more and more isolated. And I think that is hastening whatever cardiac event we saw in the first week starting to manifest. This is illness. An illness that keeps him, that blocks him in some way, that stops him in some way. In other words, not that he's on the campaign trail much anyway, but it will keep him from doing the things that he needs to do. And the child is the card in the middle. I'm always fascinated by the child, whatever card comes up in the center. And here it's the child. This is something new, something we've not been aware of. Of course, there's been all kinds of speculation about his health, his weight, his cardiac situation. But this looks like some kind of proof positive thing. Something new pops up. The scythe. Yeah, it's the card for decision, but it's also a sharp card. And when I think about things cardiac, it feels like, heart pain. And then we have finally the anchor. Remember, sometimes an anchor can keep you safe. Sometimes an anchor can keep you stuck. This is the last card in the line. So what we can do is we can mirror it with the first card. Well, what can we mirror it with? Ooh, another card of stuck energy. I think that the second week he will be out of commission in some way, stuck, not able to move forward. And this is more than metaphorical. I think it's either physical or it's psychological, but it's some sort of, or psychiatric. There is something that prevents him from being on the trail altogether. And what is it? We've got the second card, which we can mirror with the fourth card. Something lays him low. I think it's a cardiac event. I do. And I think it will happen in the second week. I mean, let's see what the third and the fourth week bring. But we see the stress building in the first week, right? And then we have this very serious line. There's no way to sugarcoat this line. It's not good. And again, it's something new, something that has not been brought up before on any kind of large scale. Again, there's always speculation about his health, but we've never heard the newscasters say, "Oh, he had a heart attack," or "Oh, he had a stroke," or whatever. But I think there will be something new that is in relation to his health that keeps him off the trail, that lays him kind of low. Okay. So again, I'll let you watch me shuffle those cards back into the deck. I'm very respectful of the cards when I shuffle because I appreciate the information that they give me and I like to demonstrate that. Okay, this is going to be week 3. What is 45's week 3 going to look like in October? So, he's still got another 10 days before any of this is operative. This is just October. So now we're looking at the 3rd week in October. Again, I cut with my left hand. That's just habit and tradition, kind of. And then I'm going to pull 5 cards for week 3 for 45. Okay. I'll leave that there while I turn them over. Okay. We have the tower. We have the fox. We have mice. We have scythe again, and you saw me shuffle. And we have moon. We saw moon before, but okay, let's look at this. I mean, I'm gonna say this feels like hospital to me. The tower. Sometimes the tower card is government. Sometimes it's loneliness. Sometimes it's isolation. Sometimes it's great because it's autonomy and independence. Here it feels very much like hospital. And this feels like specialists, medical specialists. So those are the first 2 cards. The card in the center, always fascinated to see what that is when I don't choose it myself. Mice. This is also a card for illness and erosion of something. Vital energy even can be eroded when you see the mice. It's not a good card. And of course, it's the card for anxiety, worry, stress, nervousness, etc. Followed by the scythe. And I want you to bear in mind, again, that the scythe is sharp. So it feels painful. And then the moon. So this is identity. Remember, his identity is, whatever, whatever he thinks he is. But it looks like there's about to be a cutting of that, right? A cutting, a severing of his identity as the head of the party, the big man on campus, the guy in charge. I alone can fix it, whatever. So what can we do in terms of mirroring of this line? Well, we can look at the tower, it's the first card, and we can mirror it with the last card. I think there's an identity shift for him where now his identity will become as a patient in a hospital. I think it's physical, but the mind and the body are connected, and his mind is not too with the program. So I think his identity will shift from candidate to hospital patient. And then we have the fox, and now I can mirror the fox with the scythe. Let me say this. When I read the line just as a straight line of 5, I said that this was medical professionals. But remember that, Lenormand cards never act all by themselves. They take on meaning once we put them together with other cards. So here, now that I'm looking at it with the 4th card, this shifts for me from being medical specialists to being party bigwigs. This is the Republican Party power elite, such that it is. They have some decisions to make. Yes, at this late date, they have decisions to make. Because I'm not sure that 45 will be in commission. Months and months ago, well, almost a year ago now, and I've mentioned this before, I was on Denise Siegel's YouTube channel, and she asked me to look at the election. And I said, okay, this is really weird, but I don't see the 2 principles in play. I don't see Biden there, and I don't see 45 there. What I see is 2 women, at least 1 woman, but possibly 2 women. If 45 is out of commission, yeah, we have Vance, but I don't know that Vance would be elevated to the presidential slot. They may pull someone in. I don't know who. Of course, that they would love it to be Tulsi Gabbard or Nikki Haley, because that'll show that Black Indian so-and-so that that the Democrats have what's what. But it's very late. It's very late to make this replacement. This looks like they have a decision to make, and also they are nervous wrecks about this. We'll look at this further, or we'll look at the Republican Party further after I'm finished with 45. But things look like they get thrown into a messy chaos. Okay. So that was, what week was that? That was the 2nd week, I think. Okay, let's look at the 3rd week. What will go on for 45 in the 3rd week in October? 3rd week in October. Okay, again, no significator. I will let the energy spirit decide what the significator should be. Okay, what will 45's 3rd week in October look like? Well, isn't this interesting? Letter, star, older woman, younger woman, clover. Interesting. Okay, what's this about? Could be about what I just finished talking about. The letter. This is votes. Remember, now we're in the 3rd week in October. This is votes. Star, the future. This is the center card. Can they pull in Nikki or Tulsi? I mean, Nikki makes the most sense because she had the 2nd most votes, even though 45's people won't vote for her. But anyway, and I think that this is sort of their kind of weak attempt to pull a rabbit out of the hat. This is clover. This is yin energy, and this is clover. It's a weak attempt to say, we love women. barefoot and in the kitchen, but we love women and we're going to show it to you because, 45's not around anymore. He's out of commission. So here, look, here's another woman of color we'll dangle in front of you all. So let's look at the mirroring. Uh, being, well, trying to be forward looking, which they're kind of not, but anyway, being forward looking, the Republican Party is thinking they have to get women, younger women on side. They can't, but that's what they think this is an opportunity for them to do that. And then I can mirror the first card, which is votes, with Clover. They said this very last ditch effort, Deus ex machina, God in a machine, that they pull something out of their hats, we'll say, to save the vote. Okay. So notice in the third week, there's no sign of 45 because it seems that he's been dispatched with and dispensed with in the second week, due, I suspect, to illness or another attempt. You know what I mean? Entertainment purposes only, YouTube. Now let's look at the last week in October for 45. What will the last week of October bode for the 45? All right, so here we go. Cards are shuffled. Cutting the deck again, no significator. We're going to let Spirit decide that. This is the fourth week of October for 45. Okay, we have birds, we have the star, we have the mountain, the moon, and the sun. Okay, interesting. Birds is about conversation. It's also about publicity. So there will be a lot of talk, but as we saw in the previous reading in the third week, I don't know that the talk is about 45. I think he's off to the side by the fourth week, or it goes off to the side in the third week, but by the fourth week, they're on to other things and new people and looking at the future. Okay. Now, as ever, as always, the center card is really, really interesting because what could it be? Well, roadblock, mountain. There's no last ditch thing that the Republican Party is going to be able to do to replace 45, win the young female vote, and trot themselves back into the White House. I don't think so. It's not going to happen. In fact, I think that their attempt will show people very clearly, that's the sun. Remember, that's our flashlight or searchlight, who they are. They're gonna need to go home and start from scratch and retool themselves because it's going to be very clear that this is a cynical, it's a cynical ploy to gain the women's vote that they will have lost because of the loss of Roe. Okay, so now let's look at some mirroring. The first card is birds, and I'm going to say that now that I'm mirroring it and I'm not looking one by one, I can mirror it with the last card, and in Europe, of course, this is a European oracle, right? The French will translate this card the way I do generally, which is talking, chatter, conversation, gossip, advertising, that kind of thing, meetings. But the Germans say that this card means sorrow. And I think that the Republican Party is going to feel sorrow that will be evident, visible, palpable, audible, all the rest of it. I know the sun is the best card in the deck. I get that. But here it serves like putting light on the sad, sorry state of the Republican Party now that their leader, their Führer, will be laid low. And then I can mirror the second card, which is the star with the moon. You know, back in the days of Michael Steele, when there was that sort of bloodbath that the Republican Party experienced, and he was head of the party, and they decided that they would do what they called, unfortunate word, autopsy. Now, the thing about, I mean, I was always fascinated that they decided to call their self-examination process an autopsy, because it was as though even back then they realized that they were dead. Like, there's no mouth to mouth going on here. There's no resurrection going on here. They were meant to autopsy something dead. I think moving forward into the future, the party's going to have to really do some soul searching. Are they the party of Christian nationalism? Will Liz Cheney be able to come in and kick aside the debris and create something that's entirely different and other? And by the way, let me say it again, patriot that she was during the January 6th stuff, she is no friend of Democrats or she's just no friend of Democrats. She's sort of an American oligarch. And I think she will want to create something new, and will do it probably with the goodwill and the best wishes of the Democratic Party, who was so grateful for her service during that time when we needed patriots. But for the moment, and for this election cycle, and for 45, pretend it's Monopoly, because neither 45 nor the Republican Party will be able to pass go. Oh, and by the way, some may go to jail. Just saying. All right. So that was interesting. So be on the lookout for what you hear about 45's health in all health's forms, mental, emotional, spiritual, physical. I think you will hear something in the second or third week that will cause him to maybe have to exit stage left. That's what I think. Okay. So we've already kind of addressed my second question, which was, you know, how will the Republican Party be feeling in October? I think we know they're going to have that mountain experience. They're going to have that scythe experience. They're going to have that tower isolation experience. They will have all but conceded the election. Call me Pollyanna, but that's what I think. So we could go on and do a couple of, I guess you'd call them tabloidy type questions. One's not that tabloidy, but it's very nosy. And one is very tabloidy. So let's do the tabloidy one first. Okay. It's not like I care about this, but I don't know. I saw that Janet Jackson, she of the Jackson fame, Michael and etc., unsolicited, made the comment that Kamala is not really Black. Now, I'm going to pull on what was that about? Like, excuse me, Janet? I mean, what? The Jackson family is a little odd in the first place. You know, I would concede that Michael was the oddest among them, but I'm not sure that Janet's that far behind, and sad to say. Remember too that they come from a family that is Jehovah's Witness. And so they're not necessarily up on American mainstream politics, such as it is. In fact, that's antithetical to their religion. So I'm not sure why she decided to jump in the pool with her opinion about Kamala Harris's ethnicity and race, but she did. So let's look at what that was all about. And because it's Sunday and I am letting Spirit take the wheel, I again will not pull a significator. I'm just going to let the choir take over and let Spirit give me this significator and what Janet Jackson's intention was in giving her unsolicited opinion about Kamala Harris's ethnicity. Okay. So here we go. We're just cutting it again. Oops. Okay. So, Janet, what's up? Why would you do a sister like that? Okay. Ship, tower, coffin, older man, and letter. All right, I don't know what that means. Let's think about it. Now, I'm just going to say that this is the center card. I'm always fascinated by what is the center card. I don't want to say anything about any woman that's not life affirming, but this feels kind of like a has-been card. And when you're a has-been, what do you wish you could be? What would you like to transform your has-beenness into? Reinvention, right? People aren't talking about you. You don't sing anymore, dance whatever. It seems to me it's a search for relevance. So ship. Yeah, it's like wanting to hop aboard the conversation, wanting to get in the zeitgeist of culturally what's happening, have a voice, and she thinks that people care because she's a Jackson, what she has to say. Well, I'm Janet Jackson. I mean, okay. Now, this is one of my cards for 45. And 45 has a habit of calling up celebrities that are a little bit has been long in the tooth. Kid Rock, Jesus. You know what I mean? Don King with the hair that looks like a troll. Come on. Herschel Walker. So for all I know, 45 could have said, Janet, can you do me a solid? And so she did. She thinks she can influence the vote, which, mind you, again, no shade, just an observation. She cannot influence the vote. It's like, I don't know, Milli Vanilli thinking that they can say something and that would move anybody anywhere. So look, first and last card. She thinks that her stupid statement will move the vote in 45's direction. He probably blew some smoke up her butt. Sorry, YouTube. And said, you're the great Janet Jackson. And only you could, I need you to be one of my blacks. Look, my black. Here's my black. My famous black, Janet Jackson. Can you be my black? And she, being, ultimately, as entertainment goes, irrelevant jumps on it. So it's just a little play for attention. I suspect he did reach out to her and asked her to do this so that his black could influence the rest of us blacks. Yeah, that's not going to happen. All right. Have we dispensed with Janet? Okay. The last one. So there is a dinner that is given, it happens every year. It's called the Al Smith Dinner. And every year, whoever's the president attends. And it's kind of like a roast, sort of. You know what that is? It's like where politicians get up and they throw sort of funny, snarky barbs at each other, and it's all in good fun. And during election cycle, it is tradition that both the nominees from the respective parties, Democrat and Republican parties, also attend and do that sort of good-natured barbing back and forth. Now, the Al Smith Dinner is a Catholic function. We heard Pope Francis feel called upon to inform Americans of how they should vote and that they should choose the lesser of two evils. Excuse me, Francis? If we're going to talk about evil, we might want to attend to our own house. But anyway, I don't know which one Francis would say is more evil, Kamala or 45, but I don't care, as Melania would say. Do you? I really don't care. They support what's happened with Roe, because it's the Catholic Church organization. And so anyway, Kamala Harris has declined the invitation. 45 is going to be there. And so we could leap to a conclusion and just say she doesn't want to be in the same room with him and have to sort of trade good-natured barbs, because come on. But what I want to know is, were there other reasons why she didn't want to go? Her campaign says that she will be campaigning in swing states and can't make it. Well, that's a good explanation, but I would like to know if there is any larger message than that, which she's trying to send the Al Smith Dinner people beyond the fact that she had a previous engagement. So, what message was Harris meaning to convey when she declined the invitation to the Al Smith Dinner? So let's look. And we'll just, again, it's Sunday, so we'll let Spirit be the decider on what the significator is in the center. Okay. Why did Kamala decline the invitation? We have the coffin, we have the young woman, we have the anchor, we have the moon, and we have the bouquet. Interesting. Here's what I think. I think it's what I said. Coffin followed by young woman. To me, this is the death of Roe. So if you're Kamala Harris, why are you going to go shuck, jive, grin, glad hand, clink glasses with people who wanted the death of Roe? You're not. We have in the center the anchor, and I really, really like this card. I think her message was, yeah, you all were operative in getting rid of Roe, and your dinner. I'm not here for it. This is my stand, and I'm standing on my stand. I'm anchoring myself to that position. I'm not going to play in you all's sandbox, because the sand is inimical to the health and welfare and lives and happiness and autonomy of women. Final two cards, we have the moon and the bouquet. Harris wants her position to be very clear. There is no equivocation here. This is her gift to, it would be a gift to them for her to show up. Her gift to women is to say no. If I have to pick a side, I'm picking a side, and I'm picking this. That's who I want to give my gift to. Okay. Now we can mirror. So we have a coffin as the first card. We can mirror that with the bouquet. What does that mean? She puts the lid on any impression that she approves of and wants to reward any institution that was operative and instrumental and supportive of Roe being destroyed. So she puts the lid on that. No, I'm not your girl, and I'm letting everybody know. I'm not your black, and I'm not your girl. Okay. And then we can mirror woman, young woman, with moon, because this is who she's identifying with. Her stepdaughter, her nieces, her sister, her mother. She's choosing women over old men who wear long frocks and have some answering to do about you know what. So this is Kamala standing secure in her position. And, she may not come out and say, well, this is why I'm not going. But you know what? Those who have eyes, let them see. Those who have ears, let them hear. This is why she took this stand. I am not playing patty cake in your sandbox. Not here for it. So good for her. All right. That's all I have for us today. If you enjoyed this, please, I'd appreciate it if you'd like, subscribe and share. If you have questions that you'd like me to look at during the course of this week, please do leave them in the comments and I'll check them out and see which ones I think I can answer. All right. Have a great rest of the weekend. Happy fall equinox. Take care.